It's next week. I got it wrong.
I gathered that when I didn't get anything in the email.
Okay.
Call this meeting of the City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Byer. Here. Randall.
Here.
Lars.
Here.
Matkey.
Here.
Niles.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
Teeter. Tully.
Here. Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain public participation. Anyone wishing to address the council may do so. We ask that you please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Anybody? See no one? Okay. Next, we'll move on to an appointment by me and ask for your confirmation of the City Council of the Housing Authority of Sandra Coots. We had a lady who has served us well for many years. Marcella Davis has stepped down, and I would submit the name of Sandra Coots for your approval. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Tully, Mr. Matkey. Any discussion? On a voice vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to an update, the open city engineer, public works director position schedule. Administrator Freitag.
Thank you, Dale. I just wanted to take a few minutes and just bring you up to date where we're at. We continue to hold the position open. We have not closed it. We have what I would consider to be two extremely qualified candidates. And I will provide their backgrounds to you. Tough position to fill, really tough because we require a certified licensed professional engineer. Those guys in the public sector are really hard to find. But I think we have two really good qualified engineers, both with municipal backgrounds. The plan at this point in time, in talking with our Personnel Committee Chairperson, Lori Teeter, is that on the 4th and 5th of November is when these two folks, and anybody else that might come along that would be qualified, but at least these two folks would be interviewed by the Personnel Commission with the entire City Council invited to participate. So what I think will happen is on the 4th, it's a Friday, we'll make sure staff spends time with the candidates. So I'll probably myself give them tours of the community. They'll meet with department heads. Our consultants, I think, will do some testing. We'll try to get that all out of the way on Friday, and then Saturday morning, the 5th, is when the interviews, probably in this room, will take place. I don't have times or anything like that, but I'm sure it's probably going to be Saturday morning, probably like at 8 or 8:30, starting with the first one. And, I think our goal is to get through that process, and if there's a candidate selected, to try to extend an offer that day and maybe even get an acceptance on the 5th. So that's what's going to happen. I'll let you know, and please, I know some of you are going to be out of town that day, but the non-personnel committee members, you're all invited to attend, participate, ask questions of the candidates, and then roll it forward like that.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Tim? Not, we'll move on to resolution number 47, tonight's consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, City of Jefferson, resolution number 47. Be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that the consent agenda for October 18, 2022 is hereby adopted. A, vouchers payable for October 2022 in the amount of $374,902. And September manuals in the amount of $7,550. And payroll summary for October 7, 2022 in the amount of $176,001.75. B, council minutes from the October 4th, 2022 meeting of the Common Council. And C, licenses approved by the Regulatory Committee. Class B liquor license for Ducks Landmark. Operators licenses, there were 2. Class B picnic license for the Rotary Club downtown grand reopening on October 22nd. Closure of the right-of-way on East Milwaukee Street for the downtown grand reopening on October 22nd. Closure of the right-of-way for the parking lot by Rotary Park downtown grand opening October 22nd. Sale of goods in the right-of-way, Thailand in a truck for the downtown grand opening on October 22nd. And finally, sale of goods in the right-of-way for the Chamber of Commerce and Friends of the Library at Rotary Park for the downtown grand opening October 22nd. Mr. Mayor, I move approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Lars. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of resolution number 47, please signify by saying aye as your name is called, and no if you're opposed.
Alderwoman Brandel.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Modkey.
Aye.
Niles.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Fire. Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 48, a resolution approving personnel manual changes. Personnel Committee Chair Teeter. Oh, I'm sorry.
Honorable Mayor, I'm going to take that one. It's City of Jefferson Resolution Number 48, authorizing amendment of the City of Jefferson Personnel Manual. Whereas the Jefferson City Council adopted the current Jefferson Personnel Manual in 2012 following the passage and implementation of Wisconsin Act 10-32. In order to keep the Personnel Manual current, the City Council has authorized its amendment on several occasions since 2012, including its most recent amendment in 2020. And whereas the Personnel Manual provides a summary of some of the employment policies, procedures, rules, and regulations of the City of Jefferson, and was prepared to inform all employees and provide for the orderly and efficient operation of the city. And whereas the Personnel Manual provides a summary of some of the employment policies, procedures, rules, and regulations of the City of Jefferson, and was prepared to inform all employees and provide for the orderly and efficient operation of the city. And whereas the Personnel Committee is recommending that the Personnel Manual be further amended to keep employment policies and procedures consistent with current practices. And now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin herein approves and adopts the revised Jefferson Personnel Manual, including the amendments proposed by the Personnel Committee, and directs city staff to notify employees of said amendments. I would so move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Niles. Discussion. Tim?
Yep, I think I can do this relatively quickly. I think I'd first start by saying it's been a few years since our manual was reviewed by our labor attorney, so that's the first thing that happened. Our council reviewed the document, so you'll notice there's, if you had a chance to take a look at this, you know, there are some really short edits, language cleanups. I won't really get into that. I think there's really 3 areas that I'll just talk a little bit about really quickly. The first is on page 17. The manual now incorporates the city's residency policy as found in our code of ordinances. The previous policy didn't quite follow that code, so that's kind of a cleanup, but now it does include the residency requirement as found in our code of ordinances. Probably the most important one for us is the overtime provisions when the city compensates its employees with overtime. That is on page 24. What I would say our practice is, going back to 2012, probably beyond that, when we had a lot more collective bargaining units before Act 10, our overtime practice is essentially this. If someone works over 8 hours in a workday, they're compensated on an overtime or a time and a half basis. You know, the state laws talks about 40 hours, anything worked over 40 hours in a typical work week, that's when it has to be paid. We haven't done that. Where we run into a problem, and we're going to be making some changes in the areas of emergency services, like bronze paramedics, they work a 24-hour shift. So we need to make an accommodation for certain departments where we can follow a different practice, and the language in here just gives us the flexibility to do so, so we can operate flexibly, I'll put it. So that's the second major area. And then the last one that I wanted to talk a little bit about is on page 45, right near the tail end of the manual, is that I would say up until this point, on a very, very limited basis, we haven't compensated employees for certain specialized training that they may need to work for the city, like obtaining a paramedic license, or now obtaining a CDL, and of course, as Bill has told you, that standard has all changed with the change in federal law. Just due to the labor market, you know, we found it really necessary to recommend to the Personnel Committee that the city, assuming it has the resources available, would be enabled to pay for or reimburse employees for certain types of training. The most common ones that I can think of are a paramedic license for someone to go to school, grade out, and then ultimately get a license in that CDL, which now is several thousands of dollars. So if this is put in place, we would have the ability to pay for that training or reimburse an employee, and you know, we'll make them sign an agreement basically that they're committing to work for the city for a several-year period. Ours is a 3-year period. Otherwise, they have to pay us back. You know, and that's somewhat problematic if someone leaves. You know, you still got to get them to pay them back, but at least we do require that agreement to be signed. But I think those are the 3 major areas. The rest of it are, you know, smaller cleanups.
Thanks. Does anyone have any questions of Tim about the new personnel manual changes?
I called Tim this afternoon. I did have questions, but he assured me that our labor attorney went through everything and he explained any of the changes that we made. So I was satisfied and assured that there wasn't going to be any questions, and so the city wouldn't have any problems if somebody came back and had any questions about it. So I think that will be fine. And I did have some questions because this had happened to me personally in the past. So that's why I questioned it, and Tim was able to explain it to me. So I'm satisfied with the changes.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask for your approval. Please, all in favor signify by saying aye as your name is called, and if you're opposed.
Alderman Lars.
Aye.
Markey.
Aye.
Niles.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Fire.
Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution number 49, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an agreement to provide fire suppression services to the town of Ashland, town of Farmington, town of Hebron, town of Jefferson, and town of Oakland. Alderman Lars, please.
Thank you, Mayor, fellow council members, citizens of Jefferson. City of Jefferson Resolution number 49. Whereas the City of Jefferson, the city has established the ability to provide fire suppression service to its residents. And whereas the town of Ashland, town of Farmington, town of Hebron, town of Jefferson, town of Oakland, the towns, has approached the city to provide such service to the town's residents. And whereas the city also has the ability to provide fire suppression services to the towns. And whereas the city and the towns have come to a tentative agreement for the city to provide such service to the towns pursuant to the terms and conditions of a written agreement. The agreement now be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that the agreement is hereby approved in full, that the appropriate city staff are hereby authorized to sign same on behalf of the city. I so move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Tully. And welcome Chief Wagner tonight.
Hi there. Just to explain the process real quickly, this The contract in place is a very similar contract to what's been in place for many, many, many years. This was the quickest township contract meeting that I think we've ever had. Fire contract is based on equalized values for the territory that we cover. In this 5-year agreement, there is one vehicle in the contract. And again, that was a relatively straightforward discussion. Each of the towns sent a representative or two, and from the city, Alderperson Tully was our representative in addition to me. Contract's been reviewed by Attorney Rogers, and each of the towns have their contract that they're now taking vote on as each of their meetings take place. So, pretty straightforward. Another 5-year agreement.
Good. Any questions of Chief Wagner? Jim?
Did your discussions with the town of Asplin go better than the last time around?
That would be 2 times ago, Jim,
2 times
actually.
ago?
Yes, the township of Asplin is looking to right the wrong.
Thank you.
Good, that's especially gratifying because I know there's a lot of people in the neighborhood close to where we live that will have better fire and EMS protection going forward. Not that we've always haven't helped out when needed, but kudos to the town of Asplin for coming back and working with us again. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Not, I'll, for your approval, and all in favor of resolution number 49, please signify by saying aye as your name is called, and no if you're opposed.
Alderman Mackey.
Aye.
Niles.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Brandel.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Thank you, it's unanimous. In the associated resolution number 50, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an agreement to provide ambulance and emergency medical services to the towns of Asplin, Farmington, Hebron, Jefferson, and Oakland. Alderwoman Dwyer, please.
Honorable Mayor, council members, and citizens, City of Jefferson Resolution Number 50, resolution authorizing the city to enter into agreement to provide ambulance and emergency medical services to the town of Asplin, town of Farmington, town of Hebron, town of Jefferson, and the town of Oakland. Whereas the City of Jefferson, the city, has established the ability to provide ambulance and emergency medical services to its residents, and whereas the town of Asplin, town of Farmington, town of Hebron, town of Jefferson, town of Oakland, the towns, has approached the city to provide such services to the town's residents, and whereas the city also has the ability to provide ambulance and emergency medical services to the towns, and whereas the city and the towns have come to a tentative agreement for the city to provide such services to the towns pursuant to the terms and conditions of the written agreement, the agreement. Now be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Jefferson, Wisconsin, that the agreement is hereby approved in full and that the appropriate city staff are hereby authorized to sign the same on behalf of the city. I would so move.
It's been moved, is there a second? Second by Alderman Mackey. And discussion?
Same night, we covered the EMS contract. The challenging part of the EMS contract is the annual contribution based on population, where the equalized values are a little bit easier on the fire side. The EMS side is a little bit more challenging because that is a per capita charge. That was the challenge back in 2014 that created the disparity issue with the Township of Asplin. I was very pleased with this contract discussion that it was the towns that recommended the modification in the fee structure going forward. So it was not what Toby and I put forward, it's what the towns recommended that night and came with, which I thought was very refreshing. And so I think we have a very good agreement to go forward for the next 5 years and a per capita charge for the towns, and it helps to get us where we need to be with the increased expenses related to EMS. So very pleased with the way that the towns came to the table that night with their recommendation to us.
Good. Any questions or comments for Chief Rod? No? well done and kudos to everybody involved. Appreciate it. You'd be better served for it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye as your name is called. No if you're opposed.
Alderwoman Nyles.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Tully.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Lars.
Aye.
Mock.
It's unanimous, thank you. Thank you, Chief. We'll be dropping the last couple of points on tonight's agenda and bringing that back for a future meeting. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lars, Ms. Randall, voice vote, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.